So I came here to speak something. I'll speak as long as my voice allows. It's rather weak. Having come here to speak something, I should speak something pleasing and happy, isn't it? However, to understand or to come to that which is pleasing and happy, first we have to understand what is actually pleasing and happy. Because Norway is a great example of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That material happiness is not happiness at all. Yehi sangsparshaja bhoga dukha yoniya evate adyantavanta kontayana teshu ramate buddhaha. That which is considered happiness, but which is sangsparshaja bhoga, the trying to enjoy by touch, and here sparsha means also all the senses, touching, smelling, tasting, feeling, hearing, thinking. We think it brings happiness, but actually beginning, middle and end, it is simply a cause of distress. So if we are to speak something which is pleasing and happy, you might think we might tell some jokes or tell you how to make more money. But that's why I'm saying Norway is a good example, because there's money here, but people are not happy. There's money, but what do they spend it on? What do they spend it on? Drinking and drugs. Not everyone, but why should anyone be... You would think that with a good education system and plenty of money and beautiful country and enough food, and people should be happy, but no. Because this material world is dukhalayama shashvatam. It is by nature miserable, and it doesn't matter how much money you bring. You may think, well, Norway's got money, but it doesn't have any sunshine. So let's go somewhere where there's sunshine. You go to India now, there's plenty of sunshine, and too much. Then it'll be too much, and then you feel too hot. You'll be roasted. आप कब आए हैं? कितने दिन के पहले?
1.5 महीना हो गया।
1.5 महीना। अच्छा।
बेटी के घर बेटा हुआ था।
अच्छा। अभी तो आ गया है। आ गया या आ गई? आ गया। पुत्र है। So it was very hot even at that time. आप कहाँ से हैं? देहरादून। आप भी?
हम पंजाब जलंधर से।
अच्छा, तो वहाँ पर गर्मी के मौसम में बहुत ही गर्म।
ठाकुर जी का मंदिर है, बहुत अच्छा मंदिर है, बहुत बड़ा मंदिर। इतना प्रभुपाद जी का वहाँ होता है कीर्तन।
In Jalandhar. Actually, I never went. I only went in Punjab to Chandigarh and Rajpura, which is a small town here, and next to that Patiala. There's one college I went.
Punjab में ही है, पटियाला, चंडीगढ़।
So anyway, what I was saying, it's so hot there. You may think, let's get out of this cold and go to the heat, but you can go to the heat of India and it's just too much, too hot. The people from India will be happy to come here. Now, in this season. So you may think, let's go to a climate where it's just nice all the year round. So you can go to an equatorial climate. I was in Malaysia for some time where it's kind of hot, not too hot, 30, 32, 33. For Norwegians, that's too hot. But for Punjabis, it's not too much. But the climate's kind of nice. It rains a lot also, but they have their drugs problem there also. Everywhere, problem. So what is now let's come to the happy part. I mean the miserable part, you just pick up a newspaper or just look around you or look inside your own head. The happy part is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come. There's one very nice song. I'm just not remembering it now. I can see if I can look it up. Oh, but I can't remember the first line, so never mind. Can't look it up. But there's a very nice song Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written that he is taking the position of a fallen soul in this material world, and his guru comes to him and says that you're fallen, you're suffering, but there's some shuno bhalo katha. Just listen to something good, some good news. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared in Navadvip specifically to uplift many fallen souls like yourself. So by giving the process of chanting Hare Krishna, we can very easily become free from birth and death and all the attendant sufferings and be blissful always. There's no need to suffer in this material world. So I'm sure you've all heard this before. I hope, if you're coming here. You won't hear it outside. You can go all the way up to the North Pole, and practically in Norway, and you can speak to the 4.6, any one of the 4.6 million people, and none of them will tell you this. But if you come here, you'll hear this. So this is the most important place in the whole of Norway. What's the address?
Therese's Gate.
Therese's Gate. Yeah, number?
18.
Number 18. Flat number? Well, whatever it is. This 24 square meters is the most important place in the whole of Norway, because it's the only place where you'll hear anything that makes any sense whatsoever. Everything else is simply nonsense. And not only does it make sense, but it's complete sense. It's even more sense than Jesus spoke some good things, Buddha spoke some good things, but even Muhammad spoke some good things, and many good things. And even the Vaishnava Acharyas have spoken many good things, but you'll hear even better. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the complete understanding of the absolute truth, Krishna, which is very rare. Even in India, you see, there are so many temples and so many sants and sadhus. Most of them are bogus, vast majority. But even in India, it's difficult. There are plenty of bogus sadhus, but to find someone who's actually... How many sadhus in India teach this? Dukhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is miserable. And the most popular up-and-coming sadhu in India today is this rascal who teaches this so-called art of living. He's a rascal.
His wife is a follower.
Well, she's a fool. Well, it must be to follow him, because I never met her, I don't have anything against her, but if she's following him, she's a fool. Because he's teaching the art of living, how to be happy in this world. But a sadhu should teach that there is no happiness in this world, you should get out of it. A sadhu should teach what is in Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches, Dukhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is miserable and everything here is temporary. So if anyone in the name of teaching Bhagavad Gita or whatever, in the name of teaching anything, teaches us how we can live happily in this world, he's simply a rascal. And if he teaches it in the name of being a sadhu, if it's just anyone on the street, that you can expect they're in ignorance. But if you take the position of a sadhu, and you come and you tell that now I'm going to give something better, then he's more of a rascal. So That's why I'm saying they probably have Art of Living Institute here in Norway. It's internationally famous, but he's internationally cheating people. That's all. He's made an international business of it. The reality, if we are at all to accept, if you say, I'm a Hindu, then you should accept Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Dukhalayam shashvata, this material world is miserable. But there is another place. Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. There is another place, and that is the spiritual world, where there is no birth and death, where there's only blissful service to Krishna. When going there, you don't come back. You can have the art of living, so-called, but that's the art of how to get born again. Living in this material world means dying. And if we don't understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, then it means living, and living, and living, and living, and living means in between the and, there's also dying. Because living means janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, birth, death, old age and disease. So anyone who's teaching us that how you can adjust yourself to live happily in this world is simply a rascal. Because there is no happiness in this material world. That's the whole teaching of Bhagavad Gita, that Arjuna, he was thinking, let me make some adjustment so that we can be happy in this world. And Krishna told him, there's no such adjustment. You do whatever you do. You go to Norway and earn more money and you won't be happy. You take it, then you're not feeling happy, so you go to the art of living, and the guy simply loots some of your money and teaches you some nonsense, and you're in a worse position because you're thinking I'm spiritual when you're not, because you haven't realized that what is the actual fact. Lord Krishna teaches. Labdva sudurlabhamidang bahusambhavante manusham ardadam anityam api hadhira turnam yatetana patedanumritya yava nisrayasaya vishayakalu sarvatasyat. This teaching of Lord Krishna, this is not from Bhagavad Gita, this is from Uddhav Gita in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Lord Krishna teaches that we have attained this human body after many births. Many births. Human birth is very rare. It is a good fortune that we have this body, because this body affords the opportunity for self-realization, for getting free from birth and death. But it doesn't last very long. How old are you?
55.
55, okay. You're going to live another 55 years in that body? Not very likely. So what happened in the 55 years? Where did it go? I'm 50, not much difference.
No.
When you're 5, 10 seems like very old. But when you're 50, 55 just seems around the corner. So where did it go? I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago when we were going to school, right?
Yeah.
And the years just, it's like it just passes away. So it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
All our friends, when you get to this age, you see, like you were saying, your friend from Dehradun, and now they're all starting to pass away, one after the other. And you know that my time is, there's a whistle blowing. You too. When I was coming in at the airport, the custom guy stopped me, asked some question, and so you can sometimes there'll be, not very long, there'll be a tap on the shoulder. Yeah, what? Time for you to come. Oh, wait a minute, I've got this to do. No time. When the time comes, you can't say that, well, I just have to get my daughter married, or I was just going to go to a party, and the time comes, no time to wait. So, Lord Krishna says, before that time comes, we should act in a way that we don't have to get born again. We should live our life in this way so that we are prepared for the moment of death, that we don't have to get born again. And if we think, there's so many things to enjoy, why should I bother? Let me enjoy myself. But that enjoyment, we already did it in millions of lifetimes. And we'll have plenty. You want to enjoy this world? Why bother being a human? Like to have sex? Better be a monkey. They have more facility and they don't have to bother, getting a house and paying income tax and all this kind of thing. They just, they just jump around and show their teeth like this and they have as much sex as they like. Or you like to eat a lot? Well, there's plenty of pigs. Not in Norway so much. Denmark's the place for pigs. More pigs than people. So they're happily eating. And then the time comes when they become eaten. Their body gets cut up and they become Danish bacon. So you can also be a pig. But human life is not meant for self-indulgence. It is meant for self-realization. This is the real art of living. The real art of living is to live in such a way that we don't have to die again. And that is taught by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. That's why I say this is the best place you can come. Now it's Friday night. Friday night in the Western world is a night when people, they become more crazy than usual. Anyway, they're crazy, but they become dedicatedly crazy on Friday and Saturday night. There's 2 nights. And then in these civilized cities of the Western world, you'll find these people getting drunk and shouting and screaming and maybe sticking knives in each other. And this is called this is enjoyment. Is what they call enjoyment. So there's many other things you can do. There are many places you can go. And maybe they have more civilized, they must be having some classical music concerts occasionally, art exhibitions. Art means some person has some demented idea in his brain and he sprays something on a canvas and it looks like, some insane thing, which it is, and then he sells it for $10,000 to some other idiot. This is modern art. So there are so many things you could be doing. There are so many things you could be doing, but you have come here because you have the sense to realize that human life is meant for God realization. That is taught in Bhagavad Gita. And that teaching of Bhagavad Gita is exemplified by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He made the whole process very simple. In Bhagavad Gita, although it's considered the introductory knowledge of spiritual life, after reading Bhagavad Gita, we have to read Srimad Bhagavatam, all of that. You all have this in your homes? Sets of Bhagavatam? You have?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. You all have in your home? You all have Bhagavatam? You're all reading? No, you should read. It's even if you keep it in your home, that is auspicious. But if you read it, that's many, many times more auspicious. When you start to read it, you'll realize that when I was not reading it, I was simply wasting my life. Because the knowledge in this is so valuable. But even the Bhagavad Gita, which is the beginning knowledge, it's actually Bhagavad Gita is not an easy book. We say it's the beginning book, but it's not very easy. I mean, even Lord Krishna himself, when he says, Karmano hapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam chavi karmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati. He says, just talking about karma, how karma works. People ask us, what happens if someone does this? It's very difficult to say exactly. A general idea you can say. Just like I was saying, if someone likes a lot of sex, they can become a monkey or a pigeon. Quite possible. Or if you like to go naked, which is uncivilized, then you become a tree. So that's written in Shastra. But karma is very complex. What exactly? Because every moment we're doing something, and everything produces a different kind of reaction. So exactly what kind of body we'll get in our next life is very difficult to understand. And Lord Krishna says that. It's very difficult to understand. And all the intricacies, what is pious activity, what is impious activity, is very complex. There's a famous story in Mahabharata that Lord Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj that you tell a lie, because Drona, before the battle, Yudhishthira Maharaj went and he offered, and everything produces a different kind of reaction. So exactly what kind of body we'll get in our next life is very difficult to understand. And Lord Krishna says that. It's very difficult to understand. And all the intricacies, what is pious activity, what is impious activity, is very complex. There's a famous story in Mahabharata that Lord Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj that you tell a lie, because Drona, before the battle, Yudhishthira Maharaj went and he offered his respects to Drona, his guru, who he was preparing to fight with, and asked him, how can we kill you? Because it's a battle and we're all trying to kill each other. So he asks, how can he kill you? And Drona says, I cannot be killed, only if my son Ashvatthama is killed. Only then, out of disappointment, I lose spirit to fight. So then he went to Ashvatthama and offered him respects also, because he's superficially a Brahmin, and asked, how can you be killed? He said, I can't be killed. You won't kill me. And actually they didn't, in all the battle, so many people were killed, but Ashvatthama stayed, and he's still alive. He's a Chirajivi. He's still there. So Drona was causing so much havoc. Later on in the fight, Drona was causing so much havoc in the Pandava forces that Krishna thought, we've got to kill him. So how to do that? Then we have to tell him that we can't kill Ashvatthama. So we'll have to tell a lie that he's killed. But if Krishna says it, no one will believe me. Because he's from Mathura, and everyone knows Mathura people up to today. You can't trust them. So, Krishna is known as a politician, but Yudhishthira Maharaj, he has a reputation of being, he never tells any lies, completely honest and moral person. So Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj, you have to tell that Ashvatthama is killed. And Yudhishthira said, I can't do that. I never told a lie in my life. And that's why Krishna said, that's why I'm telling you have to say it. Because he won't trust anyone else. So eventually some compromise was worked out. They killed in their own forces an elephant called Ashvatthama. And then in the hearing range of Dronacharya, Yudhishthira called out, Ashvatthama hata, Ashvatthama is killed. And then he blew the conch, and while the conch was blowing, he said, Narova Kunjarova, maybe a man or might be an elephant, which Drona didn't hear. And in this way, Drona became disappointed and he was killed. So Yudhishthira Maharaj's chariot, due to his piety, that used to go above the ground. But after this, it came down. Why? Because he told a lie, right? No, that's what everyone thinks. They got it wrong. Because he hesitated to follow Krishna's order. To lie on Krishna's order, that is pious. Not to lie when Krishna orders you, that is impious. Because piety ultimately means to do what Krishna wants. So it's very difficult to understand all these things. Arjuna didn't understand. Krishna explained to him in Bhagavad Gita that what is real piety? To satisfy Krishna. So actually all of Arjuna, what he said in the beginning, it sounded very good. It's not good to fight against your elders and gurus. How can you fight against your gurus? And then if we fight, then so many people will be killed just for the sake, so we can get the kingdom for our enjoyment. And then so many women will be unprotected, and there will be unwanted population. All his arguments sounded good, but Krishna cut them to pieces. You have to understand from a higher level that Krishna had his plan, that these people are brought together, all these sinful people, they should be destroyed. And Arjuna was the means to do that. So Krishna wanted it. Krishna wanted. So to follow Krishna's order, that is piety. That is the proper thing to do for every person. Not that everyone has to do what Arjuna does. According to our particular situation in life, everyone has to act for the pleasure of Krishna. This is the message of Bhagavad Gita. And out of the very small percentage of Hindus who read or who study Bhagavad Gita, there's an even much smaller proportion who understand this, because they don't hear like Arjuna hears. Arjuna, in the beginning, says, Shishyaste yang shadimang tvam prapanam. I'm surrendered to you, Krishna, as your disciple. And later on he says, Sarvam etadvritam manye yang mang vadasi keshava. I accept everything you say as truth. But most people, they read Bhagavad, they take it and they screw their own meaning out of it. This so-called Mahatma Gandhi, well, people might get upset, but actually he's a nonsense in as much as he was trying to preach non-violence using Bhagavad Gita. Now what can be more ridiculous than that? Because Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna wants to be non-violent, and Krishna tells him, no, you have to be violent. For Krishna's sake, violence is far preferable to the non-violence of the so-called moralist. So it's an extreme example. We're not expected that we all have to do that. That we're not asked like Arjuna to kill our kinsmen and all this. So it's just an example of how he's taken the Bhagavad Gita, and actually in Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna mentions ahimsa as a good quality. But in Arjuna's case, he was enjoined to fight. It is good. Ahimsa is a good quality. But if required, violence is needed. So to say that to preach non-violence and try to use the Bhagavad Gita to justify that, it's a distortion of Bhagavad Gita. And actually Mahatma Gandhi, or anyway, he's not really a Mahatma, because the description of Mahatma is given in Bhagavad Gita itself. Mahatma nastu mang partha daiving prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadina vayam. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, a Mahatma is one who has taken shelter of Krishna's internal energy. He worships Krishna with ananya manasa, with no other thought, because he knows that Krishna is the source of all living beings and he is the supreme. So anyway, conventionally, there are so many Mahatmas in India, and so many Mahatmas wandering around the streets begging chapatis and bidis, so-called Mahatmas, bidi Mahatmas. So, he in his autobiography, which is also a foolish title, Experiments with Truth. But the truth is not something to be experimented with. And there's so many wrong things. Anyway, he said that I do not believe that any person as Krishna ever existed. And what? I do not believe that any such person as Krishna ever existed. So I believe, and that becomes more valuable than what Vyasadeva and Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, all the Acharya, I believe. And that cancels out every Muni, Rishi and every person of any spiritual stature. And then why is he speaking on Bhagavad Gita? If he doesn't believe that Krishna exists, because Krishna is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. So there's so much cheating in the name of Bhagavad Gita and Hinduism and all these things. Therefore, in this Krishna conscious movement, we are not presenting conventional Hinduism. This VHP, they say, Garv se kaho hum Hindu hai. They can sharam se bolna chahiye kya? What's going on in the name of Hinduism? It's simply cheating. Sharam. There's a saying they're trying to promote. Say it proudly. I am a Hindu, but I'm saying you should say it with shame, because what's going on in the name of Hinduism? It's just simply cheating. And even now, Hindus have become so modern and advanced that now the meat eating that started a long time ago, but now even beef eating it's coming. Everything else is, you'd think that Hindus would never eat beef, but that's also coming, because once you start to eat meat, then where's the end to it? So this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for giving the actual teachings of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna never says you become a Hindu. But he teaches that we are eternal part and parcels of Krishna. Now you may be born as a Hindu. In the next life you can be born in a Muslim family or a Christian family or a dog family or a cat family or a worm family, or you can be born as a tree or anything else. But we have this human form of life, and we should utilize this to understand that I have got nothing to do with this material world. It is a miserable place. I should cultivate the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has brought the process of chanting Hare Krishna, which in Kali Yuga people they're inclined, not only are less intelligent, but they're very eagerly inclined to accept the wrong thing. People are very enthusiastic to act people are so stupid that they're very enthusiastic to do that which is exactly the worst thing they could do. Just like you see on the cigarette packet, it says, they used to say smoking is bad for health. Now they just put smoking kills. In some countries, they just put smoking, and still people, they're working hard to get money to buy something which is not, it's not good in any way whatsoever, but still they do it. So people, they're like flies going towards the fire. They're attracted to that which is harmful to them. So our Krishna conscious movement, it's meant to warn the human society that its course is a disaster. And of course there are so many people saying that. There are so many people saying that. They're pointing out ecologists, global warming, and the economists, the economy can collapse any time. And there are so many warnings of, in so many ways people can understand the world's a mess, but no one has any answers. Stop burning oil. Well, they won't say that in Norway. Use a different. Actually, this oil. What is the need of all this? What is the need of all the? You can live. You don't need to come from Dehradun to Oslo or whatever. There's land there. You can grow your. What do you need? Roti, kapra, makan, food, clothing, and shelter. So that's available all over the world. You can live. It's not required to drive here and there. And you may say, well, what about me? I just came in from Helsinki tomorrow and going to London. For this, that is good. They can keep one airline in the world, Hare Krishna airline. And our devotees will go from place to place and tell people, live simply, chant Hare Krishna. You don't need to run around all over the place. Everywhere. The roti, kapra, makan, food, clothing, shelter, by the arrangement of God. There may be different kinds of food, different kinds of clothing. The houses here in Norway, I suppose traditional houses are built from wood. There's so much wood. And you see in India, in different places you go, that of course nowadays it's just concrete, reinforced concrete high-rise buildings. But like Orissa, they have these big chunks of stone. And in Punjab, what kind of? I know you're from there, so it must be stone houses in Dehradun.
Yeah.
Stone houses. And
bricks and
brick that you can make from clay. In Bengal, it used to be mud houses, nice houses. In much of India, they have the house they make from clay and lime and straw, and they make very nice. It lasts for hundreds of years. So everywhere there's some kind of material. You can make some house. Wood, most of the world, wood is available. Or stone. Or this. So you can live, and food is there. You can grow here. Wheat is also grown in Norway. It must be oats also, and barley in the northern climate. There are different grains grow. So everywhere, in different climates, there's different kinds of grains and vegetables. And in Norway, people there eat fish more probably traditionally because it's full of fjords and the sea is there, and probably more than half the year you can't grow anything anyway, is it?
No.
It's not so cold like Russia. In Russia they only have a growing season of about 5 months. So it's more likely that people in this climate, they'll eat fish and meat and all this kind of thing, although it's not necessary even here. But anyway, the point I'm making is that by the grace of God, oil is not needed. You can live simply. But people, they've made this so-called advanced society, and the more so-called advanced they become, the more they become miserable. It's very apparent in India, where I first went there, 31 years ago. And India's become more advanced and more miserable. Now people, they have so much anxiety, which they didn't have previously. People previously, you must have seen in Dehradun that the person will come to their shop maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, then again at 1 o'clock they'll close, they'll come again at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they'll stay up till 8, 9 o'clock, and then again they'll close. And it's like that all over India. And 1 o'clock, especially in the summer, 1 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock, you won't see anyone because it's too hot. And they're just relaxing at home. And like that, life is going on. And they get enough to live. And everyone is doing some Ramayan part or something like that. But now you go in Delhi, now it's so hot. You go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll find the streets are full of traffic jams. Why? Because people are advanced, crazy. Why should you go in there? It's 40 degrees plus temperature, and they're going outside. And this is crazy. Why? Because money. Have to get enough money. They've become crazy. You don't need so much money, and then you get excess money. And what are they doing? Then they develop all these sports, which is another useless thing. I mean, some sport is okay, that's there in every society, but the way they have huge stadiums, and the football players get millions of pounds for kicking a ball, and it's just crazy. And then they have drug problems and so many problems. They have too much money and they have no knowledge how they should live their life. So therefore, by getting money, they've simply become more miserable. So our recommendation is that every Norwegian should take the money out of his pocket and give it to us, and we'll give them Prabhupada's books, and we'll build temples, and they can all come and chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Is it a good idea?
Yes.
So that's why I say this is the only place of any real importance in the whole of Norway, because here you can get real knowledge. What is the purpose of life? How to live life in such a way that we don't have to be born again. Even in this life we can be happy by understanding our eternal, blissful relationship with Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna. You were just chanting so sweetly and so nicely. So this chanting should go on. Chanting, studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and in this way, focusing our attention on Krishna. Otherwise, what are we doing? How are we wasting our lives just living for yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hi tucham? This in Bhagavatam is described, this material happiness, which begins with sex happiness, he says quite frankly, is simply tucha, is insignificant. That all the so-called happiness of this world put together is insignificant. The only real happiness is taking shelter of Krishna. Those who take shelter of Krishna, they can experience this. So that's what I said. I should say something, some good news, some happy words. So happy words are chant Hare Krishna and be happy. There's no other way to be happy, actually. All the other so-called happiness, it's just faltu. What's faltu in English?
Faltu, nonsense.
Okay.
Useless.
Useless, yeah. Insignificant.
Insignificant. Faltu.
Any question, comment, protest, criticism? Want to bring your wife here?
Will never come here.
No, she's addicted to that which is not at all good for her.
Recently one English professor here.
Sorry?
There was recently one English professor here in Norway. Something with love. I forgot the last part of his name. It started with love. Love song. He was giving some speeches at the university.
She's a professor of what? Love?
But he was saying that we are heading to cataclysm. But his solution was that the solution is nuclear power.
Yeah, we are heading, everyone's heading towards cataclysm, and death comes, and then you become, especially in the modern age, what you become. The normal person in the modern age, they commit so many sinful activities to cause their intense suffering. In Shastra it's stated that if you eat the flesh of a cow, you have to suffer in hell 1,000 lifetimes for every hair on the cow's body. So much suffering, they don't know. So you all have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home. Then you should read it. Don't just keep it. Read it.
I have read once. Yatharup.
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
But you have to read Bhagavatam also. And you have to read. Every day you should read these books. Otherwise, Maya will catch us. If we don't regularly hear sadhu katha, real sadhu katha means tatodu sangam utsricha. What is that? Tatodu sangam utsricha. Satsu sajjeta buddhiman shanta evasa chindanti manovya sangam uktibihi. Sad, we should give up bad association, which means TV, newspapers, people who don't talk about Krishna, and associate with devotees, because devotees, they can cut the attachments in our heart, the attachments of thinking that this material world is something very good. So unless we regularly hear that, then we'll think, yes, the material world is very nice, and we'll be in Maya. So regularly Krishna has come in Kali Yuga. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna in the form of a book. Krishna swadhamo bhagate dharma jnana divisa kalo nashta drishamesha puranarko dhanodita. Krishna left at the end of Dwapara Yuga, and with Krishna is Dharma Murti, Jnana Murti. He is the form of Dharma and knowledge. So Dharma and Jnana went with him, but he stayed in this world in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the darkness of Kali Yuga, we can get the light of knowledge by studying Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we don't, then we're in the darkness of ignorance. So we have to study these books. Anyone wants to say question, comment, anything?
बहुत खुश हुई आप आए इधर।
तो मैं खुश होऊंगा यदि आप संकल्प करेंगे ये श्रीमद् भागवत का खाली पढ़ना अध्ययन करना। पढ़ना का मतलब न्यूज़पेपर जैसे बना, लेकिन स्वाध्याय करना चाहिए। उसमें मन पूरा लगाना चाहिए। कोशिश का मतलब नहीं करूंगी, इसलिए बोलता हूँ संकल्प करना चाहिए। कोशिश करूंगी इसका मतलब politely we're saying I won't do it. You should read these books. Don't waste your life. On Prabhupada's order, I'm also writing some books. So I'd like to show them. And if you'd like to take, you can take.
We also have some prasadam, if you like, you can distribute.
Okay, I'll do that. If you could drag these, it's just easier to bring the whole thing because mostly it's only books anyway.
Which one?
Both of them.